If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ooh, a spicy question. I
because
love
the
it.
writing is sort of everything, right? Like you kind of can fix plot holes, but if the writing is
so some readers love that, and some readers are like, "But I wanted more of this." So it's kind of a gamble.
Hello and welcome back to the Right and Wrong podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by an author and aerospace engineer. It's Autumn Woods. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining me. Let's start, as we always do, with the book, your debut novel, Nightshade, which came out at the end of June. Tell us a little bit about it.
So, Nightshade it's a romantic suspense in that, you know, there's a romance plotline that follows along the whole book, but then there's also a sort of mystery kind of thriller aspect to it as well. It's set in a castle in the Scottish Highlands, and our main character, Ophelia, has gone up to investigate why her parents died, and the sort of strange circumstances around their death, and that's where she meets our main male character, Alex. And yeah, it just follows the sort of chaos that ensues.
The chaos that brings. And it is, I've got on the press release here, it says dark academia, cottage core, cozy romance.
Yes, that's the sort of the genres I love to write.
Are they also the genres you love to read?
Yes, and I also love fantasy as well. I'll read anything, really. So I will literally read any book.
Okay. Is there fantasy in this story?
No, it's not fantasy.
Okay.
Although I often find it in the fantasy section in bookstores.
Yeah.
There's something sort of fantasy-esque about it. And that was sort of my intention while writing, was to write something that's set in the real world, that's as close as you could possibly get, really, to fantasy. And we're set like right in the very, you know, most remote parts of the Scottish Highlands, in a castle that has sort of choppy electricity and no phone signal. So you are like, you're not far away from fantasy, and I kind of wanted readers to think like, you know, this feels like fantasy, but it could happen to me.
Yeah. I think there's definitely, and like I think anyone that goes on holiday to Scotland and you go kind of outside of the cities, there is something a little bit magical, a little bit sort of fantastic
100%.
about the Scottish Islands.
You feel like you've gone back in time sometimes.
Yes, yeah, or you've been like, you're like in a time loop, you know, like you're still you, but you've got,
Exactly.
It's cool. So of the three things I mentioned, I know what dark academia is.
Yes.
Cottagecore, what is that in terms of a story?
It would be, so these kind of themes that I like writing, when I'm writing, it's the setting that I have so much fun writing the setting, you know, as much, maybe even more than writing the characters, you know, I love. And cottagecore is, while dark academia is very sort of gloomy and dusty and cobwebby, cottagecore is, I would say it's like the Shire. From, you know, it's very like mushrooms and baby deer and flower meadows and sunny days, and it is different from cottagecore, from dark academia, but they're just like quite immersive outdoor environments, I would say. Okay,
that's cool. I like that, because dark academia, whilst it's not necessarily it has an aesthetic. I think there's an aesthetic association with it. I think of it as quite gothic, you know, these kind of imposing structures.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sort of counter to cottagecore from what you've described.
But I love them both equally. I just love any kind of like setting that has something sort of interesting about it, you know, whether that's you're living in a haunted gothic castle or you're living in a toadstool. I love them both. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, that kind of contrast is always great within any kind of story, just as it sets up the setting so well, sets up potential contrast for characters and where they come from and where they connect with.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then cozy romance. We know what cozy romance is.
Yeah, just cozy. Like, I mean, Nightshade it's creepy, but it's cozy in its own way, like if you're in a castle library and the power is out and everything's, you've had to light candles. It's creepy, but it's cozy.
Yeah. Kind of like that feeling of when you're inside by like a window and there's like a thunderstorm happening outside.
Exactly. You're like grateful to be inside, but you're also weirdly nervous. Or like I am anyway. Yeah, exactly.
So in terms of timelines, this is your debut novel. When did you start writing this?
I started this a long time ago. I mean, I've written a couple of books before. Some have like never seen the light of day. But this one, I think it was about 2 years before I self-published it. I was in Scotland and I was kind of forming an idea. I think most authors have a sort of chaotic file on their notes app on their phone of like random book ideas, and I'm no different. So I was like, I remember staying on the Isle of Mull and going to the Isle of Iona, if you know Scotland. And I mean, they're so remote and there's not really any kind of help if something goes wrong. You're better off going to the mainland. So I just was thinking, this is such a great place for a sinister castle with sort of, like secret societies and things like that. So I started plotting the book then, and I remember writing a few chapters and then putting it on pause while I was, busy with other things and finishing my degree. And then, I just picked it up, started writing it again. And then it was only I self-published it January just gone. And it was only sort of 3 or 4 months before that I was like, oh my God, this is happening. I had someone edit it and then I self-published it. And I mean, it just went crazy from there. And I ended up selling it to a publishing house. So
wow.
Yeah, it was probably 2 years start to finish, but I took a bit of a break in the middle.
A sabbatical. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of self-publishing this the first time around, did you try to like send it to agents and publish and things like that? Or did you know that you just wanted to self-publish it just to kind of get it out there?
Well, I'd self-published something before, but removed it. But I'd self-published a little fantasy book that I keep meaning to go back and re-edit. But I wrote that when I was 18. And then, so I knew the process of self-publishing and I knew I liked it, which was kind of, I decided I would send it, query it a couple of times, but, I wasn't tied to it. And that way I wasn't sort of distraught when I didn't find an agent last year, because I knew I liked self-publishing and I knew it would kind of do well self-published. So, but yeah, I sent it to maybe 3 or 4 agents, which I know is a low amount for compared to some writers. And I think I 3 just never got back to me, and one said it's just not really what the market is after. And then I went back and did another round of edits and self-published it. And about a week before I self-published it, that's when I had an agent reach out.
Okay.
So yeah, it was. I was kind of gave up on getting an agent, and then it just sort of came to me. Anyway.
Okay, so it hadn't. Was that Daisy Charnley?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I had 2 others reach out because in the week before publication, I was just sort of hitting the social media jackpot. It felt like, everything I posted went viral. So,
wow.
I mean, a lot of agents find authors on social media now. So I ended up having 3 reach out to me, but I kind of knew I wanted to go with Daisy, and picking the right agent is a big decision, and I just trusted my gut.
Yeah, I mean, I had Daisy on the podcast a few months ago, and she's awesome.
She is. She's great.
I mean, that's probably the dream way of finding an agent is, you've obviously found some traction online, and then agents have reached out to you. Did you other than using, social medias, TikTok, Instagrams, or whatever it might be, did you do anything else in terms of marketing or publicizing the self-published release?
Not really, no. I just it was just heavy on the TikTok and the Instagram.
Wow.
I didn't really have a budget, so I didn't pay for any advertising or anything, but I'm told Amazon ads are a very good thing to do, but I was a uni student at the time with not really any spare change, so it was just me and my 3-second TikToks against the world.
Yeah. The other thing I've heard about that kind of Amazon spend, and I've had some very successful indie publishing authors on the podcast, but the thing I've heard with spending with like Amazon is that you basically need to spend a minimum amount for it to actually be worthwhile. Otherwise it's not really going to do anything. And the minimum amount is quite high for most people.
It is. And I know some authors put 40% of their earnings just straight back into Amazon ads. But it's tricky. But once you sort of find your feet on Instagram and TikTok especially, which pains me because before all of this, before January, I'd never opened TikTok in my life.
Oh wow.
But all my successful author friends were telling me, you've got to get on the TikTok hype. So I did, and sadly, it's always sad when you've been ignoring someone's advice for a year and then you take it and you're like, God damn it, they were right.
It's very frustrating, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And with the TikTok, you're quite a private person. You don't show your face or anything like that. Most of your TikTok, I had a quick scroll, is it looks hand drawn, mostly kind of representations of your characters.
Yeah, it is.
Does that make it harder to like get traction on the platform, or have you found that works just as well?
To be honest, I had kind of, not showing my face on videos was kind of one of the reasons I'd given up on TikTok until release week, really, because I don't know, I just saw a lot of my friends being like, hello, this is me, this is my book, this is why you should read it, and I'd be like, it's not even just about privacy. I'm so bad in front of a camera. I just know I couldn't do that anyway. But then I'm addicted to getting character art of my characters. Anytime I have any spare change, that's what it goes on. So I was like, I might as well put this to use, and just really simple hooks. So it's just one tiny scene or moment or premise of your book, so mine might be, the girl investigating her parents' death, and then she meets, the son of their killer on day one, and then, that's just enough for some people to see that and think, oh, intriguing, I want to read that, and then they, off they go to find it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
they're very simple.
Yeah, you're just kind of giving little pitches, little snapshots.
Yeah, one snippet, and obviously it's a jackpot. TikTok, more than any other social media, it feels like a slot machine. And sometimes I post one and go to bed, and I wake up and it's got 10 likes, even though I have 9,000 followers. And then other times, it just very rarely, but when it does, it's worth it. It takes off.
Yeah, and the effect that one TikTok blowing up can have on a number of things as an author, and probably as in many different ways for people, it's hard to measure.
Yeah, it's crazy. More than Instagram, a viral Instagram reel, I don't, it does not affect my sales in the same way that a viral TikTok will. I remember when I was on indie publishing, you can get a graph of your page reads, how many people are reading it, and if I put that graph over my TikTok views, they literally lined up, so it was crazy.
Yeah, it's inexplicable. I spoke with, it was a couple of years ago now, that Cynthia Murphy was on the podcast, and she was doing pretty well as it was, but then randomly one TikTok, which someone else had made a TikTok of literally the first page of her book, just blew up, went viral, and then suddenly her book sold out across bookshops and things like that. It's just, you can't, there's no way of anticipating it or reacting to it. It's just,
no, it's just
crazy.
Unpredictable, and sometimes it's frustrating. I've had a lot of success on TikTok myself, but my book isn't necessarily posted about a lot on TikTok by other people, and it can be frustrating. You're like, why is no one talking about my book? But you just have to have faith that it will come. And last week, the week before, my book released, and there was just one TikTok that was run down to the bookshop, you can get this book now. And I remember that got 40,000 views, and loads of people were off to get my book from the bookstore, and I, you always want to reach out to that person. It's like, you're probably the reason I hit a bestseller list. But
yeah.
So yes, even smaller creators, they have such an impact, and I always find it's better when it's organic.
Yeah.
Or even when I'm scrolling social media, someone's selling something to me, and I am actually looking, are they paid to say that, or are they just recommending it? So I'm just sort of waiting for like the organic buzz to go crazy on TikTok.
Yeah, and it's hard. You can't really replicate it. I have a lot of my friends who have seen something on BookTok go viral, so they try and do the same thing with like their book or like one of their friends' books, and you just can't replicate it for some reason. It's
no,
like
you can't. I mean, the TikTok algorithm is just, it's like a cruel mistress, and we'll never understand it.
Yeah, it's just like rolling dice.
It really is.
Going back to your TikTok specifically, and you said you are obsessed with getting artwork done of your things. Do you have like a specific website or like an artist that you like to use to have the artwork done?
Well, I do have a sort of third job, which is
I see.
Book cover designing and character art. So I've done 3 of my character arts, but the remaining 30 are just, I sort of scroll Instagram, and it might be a really small artist who's just like watched the Hunger Games and they've posted a bit of Hunger Games fan art, and I'm like, oh, I love your style, like, would you take a commission? Or it might be that an author friend of mine has posted some character art they have, and I'm like, oh, like, I need that. And then I reach out to the artist, but it's mostly Instagram I find it through.
Oh, that's cool.
But I just love, I don't do like that much art anymore, but I remember like just starting how exciting it was, to get to draw someone else's characters, and all the while I have spare cash to support artists, I'll do it, because I mean, it's so exciting seeing your characters drawn.
Yeah, of course. And in different styles and stuff as well is like, must
exactly.
be fun. Like,
it is really fun.
I hadn't thought that would look like that, but actually it looks really cool. I like that.
Yeah, and sometimes, you just tell an artist, oh, they're in a kitchen, but I'm not sure. And then they just come back with something and you're like, whoa. That is so... Let me just adjust the scene to fit this artwork, because that artwork is so good.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. Before we head over to the desert island, I had to ask, because your second job as an aerospace engineer, that sounds amazing. What just very briefly, what is the kind of day-to-day? What sort of things are you doing as an aerospace engineer?
Well, so as an aerospace engineer, I mean, there's so many things you can get involved in. We deal with planes and spacecraft, but also ships and submarines sometimes, at all stages, whether they're just an idea and you're designing a plane that's going to not fly until like 2050, or whether you are, dealing with like Spitfires that are going out of, that are getting old and rusty, but you want them to keep flying. So it's all different things. But
wow,
I specifically work in aircraft safety. So it's looking at when a plane has an accident or a crash or a near miss, or, what went wrong. And calculating the odds of that happening again. So it kind of helps you know whether you need to ground the fleet or keep planes flying and stuff like that. So it's very different to writing books, but it's rewarding. They're both rewarding in their own way.
Well, that sounds like a very technical and knowledge heavy kind of thing to do, and skill heavy, I guess,
very
too.
number heavy.
Yes. Does any of that, do you like use any of that? Does it find its way into your writing, or is your writing like too far removed?
Definitely it does. Like when I'm in the early stages of a book, it's very like number driven. I'm like, right, I want, I set myself a word count, and I set myself a chapter count, and I divide my word count by my chapter count, and I hit that as my target, and then it all goes into an Excel spreadsheet. So definitely there is like, I probably take a slightly engineering-y approach to writing, but other than that, I would say the only sort of skill is like problem solving. I mean, even now I'm writing another book, and my plot is it's full of plot holes and it needs a bit of work, and I feel like you problem solve in both of those jobs quite a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you thought about potentially setting a story within the sort of aerospace field?
Yeah, I mean, in my endless notes app, I do tend to write books that are sort of darker or more sinister, but I have had a sort of like a comedy kind of light-hearted book about a burnt-out engineer in my notes app for a while, but I don't know if I'll ever do anything. And then I'd love to write a more of like a thriller around a plane. You know, like I always think a plane makes such a good setting for a thriller, whether it's like hijacking or a crash or just like a strange passenger. What is that program, Hijacked? I watched that and that was really good. So yeah, I'd love to write I'd have to get like not too much in the technical detail, do you know what I mean? Like I found there's a helicopter crash in Nightshade, and you know, one of my beta readers was like, I don't think they probably care that it was the turbine shaft. Like, you could probably cut that out.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's not that kind
of book. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That'd be fun. Yeah, I think you're so right. I think I've talked about this on my other podcast. And we talked about how people love trains for stories because it's like a compact space. Everyone's forced together and you can't get out. And I think you get the same thing with potentially higher risk with a plane.
Oh yeah, I mean, I hate flying. I'm terrified of flying. So like having a thriller on a plane, I mean, I'm scared anyway, but then add in the whatever the actual drama is, it just makes it worse. Okay,
I'm gonna gloss over the fact that you, an aerospace engineer, are scared of flying. And
I was scared before, if that helps.
Okay.
I've been scared of flying my whole life.
And knowing how it works doesn't reassure you?
No, not really.
Okay, great.
I just know more ways it could go wrong now.
Oh, good.
I think before I was like an aerospace engineer, I was like, the wings could fall off. Now I'm like, I know the wings would probably never fall off, but I know other ways.
I guess ignorance in some ways is bliss.
It really is.
Okay, so last question before we head over to the desert island. Now that the book is out, you've done a full circuit of traditional publishing. Are there any things that you know now that you think might have been helpful to know when it all kind of started, when you first kind of got signed by an agent and then moved into the traditional sphere?
I would definitely say like the biggest thing for me, I'm quite an introvert and I'm obviously very grateful for all of this. And like, you do have this big urge to be grateful. I think a lot of authors have sort of, I mean, most books on the shelf, the journey to that book being on the shelf hasn't been easy. Like, I know a lot of authors have queried for 1, 2, 3 years and they've had so many rejections. And obviously I'm not saying don't be grateful, but sometimes, you know, I remember meeting publishers and I was saying to my agent, you know, I don't know how to impress them. I don't know what to say. And, you know, she'd be like, they're trying to impress you. They're trying to buy your book. And so like, you don't have to be so grateful that you would just let anyone do anything. And I remember like, definitely in the early stages, I was so sort of dumbfounded and awestruck by everything that was happening that I would be like, you know, I mean, a publisher could probably offer me 50p for the book and I'd be like, oh, thank you, you know, like, but remember, you know, you wrote the book, you're the one that's sort of in control. And if there's anything you're not comfortable with or don't like, then, you know, you can speak up. And, you know, I remember there were a few like cover changes that they wanted to make to my cover. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm not sure about that. After like my agent had to hype me up to just say that for about an hour. And they were like, yeah, good point. Let's change it. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, yes. Just anything that like ever doesn't feel quite right. Just don't be afraid to kind of speak up, because probably there are other people who are like, oh yeah, good point. You know, we hadn't noticed that. Yeah. So that would be like my biggest advice to myself from 6 months ago.
That's great advice. And I think from the other side of it, I think a lot of the time the publisher, whether that's the editor or whoever it might be, are also like, they want to hear your feedback. They want to hear your thoughts on the things. The editors that I've spoken to.
And they want you to be happy, you know, they want you to stay. They want you to not move, you know, to any other houses and stuff like that. So yeah. A world where the author is happy, you know, that's the best kind of world for the book.
Yeah, because the book's going to be in the best place when everyone's happy like that. And the editors that I've spoken to, that a lot of them have said, like, you know, you often find the best kind of change for a novel is when they've like marked something as like, maybe we could change something here. And then the authors come back to them, and then together they've figured out the best way for that to go. Like they want to hear the feedback from the author.
Exactly. And like as an author, you definitely, this is my other like big bit of advice, because I do get people, which is still crazy to me, like reach out to me for advice, and it's like, no, you need to know when to care and when not to care.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, editing and having your agent give you feedback and your editor give you feedback and your like alpha readers give you feedback, that is the time to care and to listen and to be open-minded and to put your pride aside. And then, you know, once the book is out, and inevitably as an author you do get readers maybe send you their negative thoughts or tag you in negative thoughts, and that's the time to not care.
Yeah.
So you really have to like pick your battles and turn off that part of your brain at the right time, which is a difficult balance to find. But I feel like once you've done that, then it becomes a sort of much happier experience.
Yes. I think advice probably for life in general.
Definitely. Just know when to care.
Yeah. Awesome. Some great little tidbits in there. And that brings us to the point in the episode where I whisk you away and dump you on a desert island all by your lonesome with one single book, but I will at least ask you, which book would you like it to be?
Oh, that is such a good question.
Some people think the opposite.
I feel like I would... It's very boring of me to say Lord of the Rings, but it's such it's a comfort book. If I was lonely on a desert island, it would bring me such comfort.
Mm-hmm.
B, it's such a thick book. It could be a table. It could be a chair. It could be a shelter.
You can get them bound as well, all three in one.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, I've got so many. I usually have like a no more than one copy of a book rule, but Lord of the Rings does escape that rule for me.
I've got a few books like that.
I mean, I want to say Lord of the Rings. If I actually got put in that situation, I would probably bring a book about surviving on a desert island. It's probably the most sensible option, but really I would just want to read Lord of the Rings, and I could use it as a little house because it's that big. And
little coffee table.
I just love that book. I feel like it's probably, if someone said that before, it's probably a basic answer, but
you know what's strange is it's sort of over 200 episodes of the podcast. It's been said, but recently a lot of people have said it. Like there's something in the zeitgeist at the moment that people are going back to Lord of the Rings. I don't know what it is.
It's just so good. And like even the movies, you know, it's rare that I read a book and I love the movie as much, but I do. Like, I just love that book. And I think, you know, I'm someone that I do get lonely sometimes, and I definitely turn to my comfort books and TV shows, and that one would probably help. As
a big fan of both the books and the movies, what did you think of the Amazon TV show?
Oh, I'm sorry to say I watched like 3 episodes and then stopped. I do need to give it a second chance, and I will, but you know, it was too much strangeness for me. I'm just such an old-fashioned gal, and I love the old-fashioned Lord of the Rings, and I watched the first few and I was like, I just was like, elves with short hair, like what is this? And I haven't gone back yet, but I will.
I know what you mean. I watched the first season, but like, it was fine. Someone said to me, someone asked me, what did you think of it? And I was like, I don't know. Yeah, it was okay. And then they were like,
it was, and for the budget as well, it just
But then the question was, would you have watched it all if it wasn't Lord of the Rings? And I was like, no, probably not. Which to me, I was like,
I agree with that.
There's a bias there.
And there's so many like other shows, like, I mean, The Last Kingdom, I love that. And it has a Lord of the Rings vibe to it. So I just feel like I wouldn't pick it over. There's so many shows out there now. So it didn't like grip me. I need a TV show to kind of grip me.
Yeah. A lot of my friends have said season 2 is a big improvement though. So
oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I will. I will give it another go.
Convinced. God, you're so easily convinced.
I'll come back on the podcast in a year and give my full review, episode by episode.
We'll just start a whole new podcast where we just review. Awesome. So The Lord of the Rings makes another appearance. It is an all-time classic. Next up, in the episode. I've got some bits to ask. We're going to talk about Autumn's pen name. We're going to talk about her writing process, the second book, and lots more stuff. That will all be available in the extended episodes at patreon.com/rightandwrong. We're about at the end of the episode. So thank you so much, Autumn, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Letting me ramble on.
No, it's been great. It's been really fun chatting with you and hearing all about your writing and publishing adventures. And for everyone listening, Nightshade is out right now. You can get it in all the usual places. And if you want to keep up with what Autumn is doing, you can follow her on TikTok at autumn.woods.author, on Instagram and Threads at autumnwoods.author, or on her website, authorautumnwoods.com. To support the podcast, like, follow, and subscribe, join the Patreon for ad-free extended episodes, and check out my other podcast, The Chosen Ones and Other Tropes. Thanks again, Autumn, and thanks to everyone listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Shout out time. One of my amazing patrons, Lee Foxton, is querying their debut novel. It's a family drama, commercial fiction along the lines of Jojo Moyes and David Nichols. Fingers crossed, I am rooting for you. Good luck.